What if Ned Stark had said no? What if, when King Robert Baratheon rode all the way to Winterfell to offer him the position of Hand of the King, Ned had simply refused? It's a question that sends ripples through the entire story of Game of Thrones, changing everything we thought we knew. So, let's dive into this alternate history and explore what might have happened. First, let's set the scene. Robert arrives in Winterfell, not just to name Ned his hand, but also to betroth his son Joffrey to Sansa, the inciting incident of the entire series. The thing that gets the Starks moving south is Lysa Arryn's letter warning Catelyn that the Lannisters murdered the previous hand, Jon Arryn. In our new timeline, Ned receives the letter, but instead of seeing it as a call to action, he sees it as a warning to stay away. He's a homebody, a man who never wanted power or the intrigue of the capital. He loves his family and the North, so he politely but firmly declines Robert's offer. He might cite his duty to the North, his desire to raise his children, or even his own health. Robert would be furious, of course. Their friendship would be strained, maybe even broken. He might storm out of Winterfell, leaving the betrothal between Joffrey and Sansa up in the air. Most likely, Robert would cancel it out of spite. So, Ned stays in Winterfell. What happens next? Well, Bran Stark never climbs that tower. He isn't pushed by Jaime Lannister. He's never crippled, and he never begins his journey to become the Three-Eyed Raven. This is a massive change. Without Bran's visions, the true nature of the White Walkers might remain a secret for much longer. The children of the forest lose their chosen successor. The future of the entire realm just became a lot more uncertain. Meanwhile, in King's Landing, Robert still needs a hand. Who does he turn to? The most likely candidate is Tywin Lannister. Robert doesn't trust him, but he respects his efficiency and ruthlessness. With Tywin as hand, the crown's debt would be managed far more effectively. Tywin would run the kingdom like a well-oiled machine, but he would also be consolidating Lannister power at every turn. Cersei would be thrilled. Her father is now the second most powerful man in the kingdom, protecting her secrets. The secret of Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen's parentage is still a ticking time bomb. But who would uncover it? Stannis Baratheon is still suspicious. He would likely continue his own investigation, perhaps with help from Littlefinger, who always plays both sides. But without Ned Stark to back him up and lend legitimacy to his claim, Stannis is in a much weaker position. When Robert eventually dies, and let's be honest, his reckless lifestyle makes that inevitable, perhaps even sooner in a hunting accident arranged by Cersei and Lancel Joffrey still ascends the throne, Stannis would declare himself the true king, just as he did in the original timeline. But this time, he's not just facing the Lannisters. He's facing a realm that is, on the surface, much more stable. Tywin Lannister as hand would have a firmer grip on the capital. The Starks are neutral up in the north. Renly Baratheon would still likely declare himself king, splitting the Baratheon forces. The War of the Five Kings becomes, perhaps, a war of three or for kings. Up in the north, things are peaceful. Sansa would likely be betrothed to a northern lord, or perhaps Robin Arryn to secure an alliance with the Vale. Arya would continue her lessons, perhaps becoming a skilled swordswoman under Syrio Forel, whom Ned might hire to come to Winterfell. Robb would be learning to rule, preparing to become Warden of the North. Catelyn would be at peace, her children safe. It's the life Ned always wanted, but the peace can't last. The Night's Watch is still in trouble. Jon Snow is still at the wall, and without the support of Robb's army marching south, the Watch is even more isolated. Alliser Thorne would still send the White's hand to King's Landing, but would Tywin Lannister take it seriously? Unlikely. He would dismiss it as a northern superstition. The threat beyond the wall would grow unchecked. The real game changer is Littlefinger. Without the chaos of Ned's execution and the subsequent war, his ladder is harder to climb. He thrives on instability. He might try to sow discord between the Lannisters and the Starks. Perhaps he sends another letter, this time fabricating a Lannister plot against the North. Would Ned believe it? Maybe. His distrust of the Lannisters is deep-seated. Let's imagine a scenario where conflict is unavoidable. Perhaps Daenerys Targaryen's rise in the east becomes a credible threat. With 3 dragons, she would eventually set her sights on Westeros. Tywin Lannister would see her as the primary enemy. He might even try to unite the realm against her. Would he ask the North for aid? Ned, ever honorable, would likely answer the call to defend the realm from a Targaryen restoration, especially one backed by a Dothraki horde. So, the war we get might not be an internal civil war, but a grand war against an external invader. The Starks, the Lannisters, the Baratheons, and the other great houses might find themselves fighting on the same side, at least temporarily, against Daenerys' forces. This would be a completely different kind of war. The alliances would be fragile, the betrayals just as sharp, and what about the White Walkers? Without Bran, without the warnings reaching the right people, they would eventually breach the wall. The Night's Watch would be annihilated. The undead army would pour into the north, and Ned Stark, who chose to stay home to protect his family, would find the ultimate threat arriving right on his doorstep. The north would be the first to fall, unprepared and alone. The long night would descend upon a divided and unsuspecting Westeros. In the end, Ned's decision to stay in Winterfell, a choice made out of love and a desire for peace, might have ironically doomed the entire realm. By avoiding the political Game of Thrones in the south, he left the world vulnerable to the true existential threat from the north. His honor and his focus on his own family would have inadvertently led to a much darker fate for everyone. It's a tragic irony. By trying to save his family, he may have sacrificed the world. So what do you think? Would Ned staying home have been better or worse for Westeros? Let me know your theories in the comments below. It's a fascinating, what if that proves just how pivotal one man's choice can be? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into an alternate Westeros, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.